The sun had not yet risen, and the streets of Willowtown still lay wrapped in a pale blue hush. While most children were asleep in warm beds, 12-year-old Liam was already wide awake, walking barefoot along the stone-paved street with a wooden toolbox clutched tightly in his small hands. His shoes had long given up on him, their soles torn, laces missing, but he didn't complain. He had other shoes to worry about. He reached his usual spot, the corner of Willow Street and Mulberry Lane, just beneath a rusted street lamp that flickered now and then like it too was struggling to hold on. There, he placed the old crate he used as a stool, sat on it with a sigh, and opened his toolbox with the care of someone opening a treasure chest. Inside were his treasures, half-used tins of shoe polish in black and brown, an old toothbrush, a worn-out buffing cloth, and two tiny brushes his father had left behind before disappearing years ago. His tools were few, but his hands were steady, precise, and kind, shaped by practice, not privilege. Each day Liam worked from morning until sundown, fixing the shoes of hurried office workers, tired rickshaw pullers, and even grumpy school teachers who rarely thanked him. He never asked for more than $1, even when he worked longer than needed. He didn't have time for complaints or play. He had a mission, and that mission lived inside a small piece of paper folded carefully in his pocket. When the morning rush was still a few moments away, Liam pulled that paper out once again, gently, reverently, and unfolded it like a secret prayer. It was a page torn from an old magazine, faded and creased, showing a silver bracelet with little stars engraved along the band. Below the picture, the words "To the world's best mom, $22" were printed in elegant cursive. Liam smiled, softly, tracing the image with his thumb. In that bracelet, he saw more than jewelry. He saw laughter returning to his mother's eyes. He saw her wrinkled hands, always busy sewing clothes for pennies, finally resting with something beautiful wrapped around them. He saw her coughing fits pause, even if just for a moment, as her eyes sparkled with surprise. It had been months since he last saw her smile without effort. She used to hum lullabies while cooking, laugh at Liam's silly jokes, and braid his hair just to annoy him. But ever since the winter began, something changed. The coughing came first, then the weight loss, then the days when she couldn't get out of bed. Medicine was expensive, doctors were distant, but Liam was determined. If he couldn't cure her, he'd give her a reason to feel loved again. $22, he whispered, only 20 more to go. His earnings so far were tucked inside an empty candy box hidden under a brick near the lamppost. $2.11 in coins and small bills. He knew it would take weeks, maybe months, but he wasn't in a hurry. Love doesn't come with a deadline. The first customer of the day arrived, a middle-aged man with cracked loafers. "Make it quick," the man grumbled, already checking his phone. Liam nodded and began working quietly, gently rubbing the dirt off the leather, sewing the sole with a needle so small it nearly vanished between his fingers. He finished in 8 minutes, fast and flawless. The man tossed him $1, muttered something about cheap polish, and walked away. Liam didn't mind. He pocketed the coin and smiled. Every coin was a petal in the flower he was building for his mother. The day dragged on. Some customers were kind, some cruel. One lady told him his hands were too dirty to touch her heels. Another gave him an extra 50 cents and said, "For your smile." Liam never lost that smile. It was his shield, his armor, his message to the world that even though he was small, he carried something big inside him. By noon, the sun had risen high, and sweat dripped from Liam's forehead. He hadn't eaten anything since last night, except for a small piece of stale bread. But when a little girl dropped her ice cream near him and started crying, Liam gave her his last candy from the toolbox, the one he saved for hard days. Her face lit up like a lantern. "Thank you, shoe boy," she said and ran off. Liam laughed softly and returned to work, round 2 p.m. When the streets grew quieter and shadows lengthened, Liam took a short break and leaned back against the wall. Above him, a small poster fluttered in the breeze. It showed a smiling family under the words, "Happiness is in the little things." He stared at it for a moment, then closed his eyes. He didn't have much, but he had a purpose that smelled like shoe polish, a purpose that sounded like coins clinking in a candy box, a purpose that looked like a silver bracelet wrapped around the wrist of a woman who once rocked him to sleep, even when she hadn't eaten herself. The sun began to dip again, bathing the street in golden light. Liam stood, cracked his knuckles, and prepared for the evening crowd. Another day of work, another dollar closer. Just then, a large, black SUV pulled up to the side of the road with a low hum. Its windows were tinted so dark, Liam could barely see inside. The engine purred like a well-fed cat, and for a moment, it felt out of place in this dusty part of town. The door opened, and out stepped a boy, maybe 13 or 14, about Liam's age, dressed in spotless designer clothes, his hair gelled perfectly like he'd just stepped out of a magazine photo shoot. He looked around with mild disgust, his lips curling at the cracked pavement and the noisy vendors nearby. Then he looked at Liam. Without a word, he pulled off his expensive leather boots and tossed them near Liam's feet. Clean and polish them, fast, he said flatly, not even making eye contact. His voice was sharp, careless, like someone used to being obeyed without question. Liam blinked once, then gave a polite nod. Yes, sir, he said softly, picking up the boots as if they were made of glass. He noticed something right away. The boots weren't dirty, just a few scuffs here and there. The soles were barely worn. They looked new. He could have guessed they'd been worn only a handful of times. These boots didn't need fixing. They needed attention. Still, Liam worked as he always did, with focus and kindness. He cleaned them carefully, rubbed the polish in perfect little circles, then buffed until the leather gleamed like black marble. Every step was precise. He treated each shoe like it mattered, even if its owner didn't think he did. The rich boy sat in the SUV, scrolling through his phone, not once looking at Liam. The driver, a bald man with dark sunglasses, kept tapping the steering wheel impatiently. After about 10 minutes, the boy stepped out, flicked his wrist like he was bored, and grabbed the boots without a word. Liam held out his hand slightly, not begging, just hopeful. The boy reached into his sleek wallet, pulled out a crisp $2 bill, and tossed it on the ground near Liam's crate like he was throwing crumbs at a bird. Then he turned and slid back into the SUV. As the vehicle roared away in a cloud of dust, Liam sat quietly. He didn't rush to pick up the money. Instead, he looked at the note lying on the ground. It wasn't just paper to him. It was hope. It was $2 more toward his mother's bracelet. He leaned down, picked it up gently, and folded it neatly before slipping it into the candy box under the brick. Just 18 more to go, Mama, he whispered with a small smile. That night, something lingered in his heart, not bitterness, but awareness. He had polished those boots to perfection, yet it meant nothing. No thank you, no smile, just a transaction. But when he got home and saw his mother awake, coughing softly, her eyes still tired but lighting up when he entered, he remembered why he did it. She asked, "Did you eat?" He lied and said yes. She smiled anyway. He rested his head on her shoulder as she hummed a lullaby, her voice cracked but full of love. And as he closed his eyes, he whispered to the darkness, "One day, Mama, I'll put it on your wrist myself."